What's up, guys? It's Isaac at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson here in Raleigh, North Carolina with your new bike of the week. Something a little special for you today. We've got the 2022 Street Glide ST. Now, for those of you new to the STs, the ST, which is what stands for Sport Touring, basically meaning, as we said in another video, it's got bags and it goes fast. So with a lot of custom bike builds and the way a lot of people have been shaping their own bikes, they've been wanting to take larger touring style motorcycles and really lean hard into the performance aspect of them. So not only do they want to take a bike that can go far, but they want to make sure that bike can go pretty darn fast too. So Harley-Davidson took note of everything that was going on in the motorcycle community, and so for 2022 they released 3 ST models, one of which being the Street Glide ST that you have here today. Then you also have the Road Glide ST and the Lowrider ST. Now there's a lot of hype around all of these bikes, and today we're going to show you just why that is. So stick around for your new bike of the week. Now, one of the first things you might be noticing about this bike from a distance here, it's all blacked out. It's got a heavy breather going into that 117 Milwaukee 8 motor. And then you've got bronze accents everywhere and actually shorter bags on the back compared to the Street Glide Special. So this bike is loaded with tons of little details all over this bike that are really showing you what this bike is made to do. And I mean, just sitting on this bike, you just feel like this bike is made to be ripped down the street. Everybody that's really ridden these bikes so far have said that these bikes, they stay right there with you. The way these ST models are tuned, they're super responsive, right there with you. And you've got that heavy breather air cleaner right there and the high flow exhaust. I mean, it's pumping air through and really getting the most out of what you have to work with right here. And it's also got a lot of nice touring features as well. But before we dive into all those features and all the fun details on this, we're going to go ahead and start talking about some of the stats for this bike. If you notice, I've got rid of the 2-up seat, and the shorter bags. This bike is really stripped down and made for riding a little bit harder. So it's actually been lifted up to help give you even better ground clearance underneath. Now this bike isn't so much taller that you're going to have a harder time reaching the ground, but you are going to find it's going to give you just a little bit more flexibility in some of those tighter turns. And the seat height now is sitting at 26.7 inches, which is about a ½ inch increase from before. And you've got almost another ½ inch increase in ground clearance, going from a 4.9 to a 5.3 inches. You still have that 6-gallon tank, because when you start riding this thing, you're not going to want to stop, so that's going to let you skip a couple more gas stations. In running order, this bike is sitting right at about 814 pounds, so it's been stripped of about 13 pounds, and you're looking at 126 foot-pounds coming out of that powerhouse. So now with those numbers out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the front and show you what makes this bike so awesome. So you've got those aluminum cast rims that you had on the Street Glide Specials, but these are decked out with a different bronze trim to kind of throw back to some of that lowrider DNA that's being pulled from this. Also with that, you're seeing that bronze trim right here on the motor, and you're seeing that with that bronze drop H right here on the 6-gallon tank. You do have dual brakes on the front with standard ABS, a very responsive front suspension, smoked out turn signals on the front, a bright LED daymaker headlight right inside that batwing fairing, which is one of the features that makes the Street Glide stand out so much. You've got a pretty standard windshield on top of that fairing, which if you want something taller or shorter, you can change that out, no problem. And it does have the open vents underneath to help balance out those pressure differences you'll get when you start moving good. Also on the fairing, you've got your mirrors built into the fairing, so that way they give you just a little bit further reach on the left and right. Then you've got your speakers, and then from left to right in your instrument cluster, you've got your fuel, your speed, your engine speed, and your voltmeter. Then below that, you've got the Boom GTS infotainment system. You have your ignition switch and your fork lock right below that, and on either side is room for some auxiliary switches if you want to add on some fancy light packages. Then there are the bars. You've got blacked out bars that help bring the controls in there to a nice position and help keep you in a nice upright riding stance. You've got your traction control and your cruise control and your voice control over here on the left, as well as the joystick to help navigate some of that screen. And you've got your switch on top that can be easily accessed with the pointer finger there. That way you can cycle through some of the displays that are also on the speedometer. Then on the right side, you've got the bike's power switches and the starter, your hazard lights, and another joystick to help navigate on that screen. Then there's the 6-gallon tank. So you're not going to find that center access to the tank. Now there's only one gas cap and it's on the right side of the tank. So still making sure you can fill this bike up with plenty of ease. It's a gorgeous looking tank. It's amazing to see that drop H with the bronze accents right there on the tank. So it really helped giving this bike an even more classic, iconic styling. Then below that is the sweet spot of this bike. the 117 Milwaukee 8 Powerhouse. Originally, this motor was only able to be gotten on the CVOs, but now this motor is ready for even more performance driving. You've got that heavy breather sucking in air right there on the side, and you've got the 2-to-2 exhaust with the crossover. There's a nice engine guard in front of the floorboards, so that way they're nice, low profile. They don't take away from the bike, but they still offer a good bit of protection to it. And then you have those floorboards that offer a lot of different places to move your feet around on those particularly longer trips. And you do have those nice wide deflectors helping keep some of that heat from the motor away from your legs when you're riding stoplights more than you are the bike. And then you've got a little bit of a different seat. So when you first hop on this bike, you might be surprised that it is a little bit of a firmer seat. They did away with the 2-up seat on this bike. They were finding that a lot of the performance sport touring guys that were building those bikes out, they wanted a seat with a hard back wall that was really helped them stay on the bike. And by not having that 2-up seat, it really kind of cleans up the rear fender, so that way it exposes the whole bike a little bit better. Then you've got something that you might not expect right out the gate. So many people are familiar with the standard bags on the Street Glide, and then when you go to the Street Glide Special, you get those nice stretched bags. But now when you go to the ST, you get those standard bags again, because a lot of people found that those standard bags actually gave them a little bit more room and some harder turns, so that way they weren't scraping up the bottom of the bags too much. If you do have a Street Glide Special, I'm not saying you're going to be scraping those bags a whole lot. You've got to really get into it to be hitting that skid plate on the bottom. Since this bike is lifted up a little bit more, and now with those shorter bags, you're going to have even more ground clearance than you did before. And since the exhaust is exposed now, if you do have a favorite pipe that's not already on the bike, then it'll be a little bit easier to switch it out. Then in the rear, you do have your bright LED headlight on the back fender, and then your turn signals on either side and your license plate below that. You'll see the exhaust sticking out from just underneath the bags, and you've got these nice reflectors on the back of the bags, so that way when you've got your bike parked outside and you're inside your favorite restaurant for bike night and you're doing the hard job of carrying the conversation because you're just such a funny person, there's a better chance of your bike being seen a little bit better by somebody else's headlights. And then they'll see the bike and they'll see the heavy breather in the drop H and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you've got a Street Glide ST. And you'll tell them, yeah, I do. Showing you what this bike looks like with a rider on it. Let me go ahead and throw my leg on over here. So it does sit up a little bit higher, and the first thing you will notice compared to other Street Glides is that it is a little bit of a firmer seat, and you do have that little bit of a firmer back wall helping you stay on this bike a little bit better. Pretty easy riding position right here. You got a lot of room to move your foot around, and you do have that heavy breather there, but it's really not going to be in your way any. If that is a concern of like hitting your leg on it, you don't have to worry about that too much because your foot's really not going to be anywhere that you're going to be hitting that. And even if you have highway pegs, that's going to bring your feet out a lot more. Bars are in a nice spot, nice easy display as always, and it's a really comfortable riding position, and it really feels like you can do a lot with this bike. I mean, just sitting on it, it feels like this bike is ready to go. So I'm going to switch over to some GoPro footage right quick and go ahead and show you guys what this bike looks like from the riding position. Here we are in the riding position. You can kind of see everything that I'm seeing right here now. You've got your instrument clustered, easy access, your bars. The tank's nice and clean. Looking over to the left, you'll see you've got your nice floorboards, foot controls. Same thing on the right. And overall, it's a really good looking bike from the rider position. You know, kind of looking back, I can see you've got those easy open bags right there, easy access of the rider. And looking over the windshield, yeah, it's just an awesome looking bike. Come on down, check it out. So that's your 2022 Street Glide ST, an awesome bike here in Vivid Black, which you can get the Gunship Gray version, but the one we have here right now is the Vivid Black. And these are awesome bikes. You really got to come check them out in person and really see everything that they're about. If you want to know more about these bikes and possibly see about getting one yourself, go ahead and slide over to our website where you can see all the new bikes we have to offer, and you can see best ways to contact us here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you out here soon.